طبعا الداخل مال شو اسمه؟
مال مسير.
مال مسير. يا علي
خرب.
يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي دخيلك. انزل ورا السيارة ورا السيارة ورا السيارة ورا السيارة. وقف وقف عبود. انزل ورا السيارة ورا السيارة. محمد محمد.
محاولة ما الكهرباء محاولة.
مو محاولة لا والله محاولة. مو محاولة صاروخ.
محمد شادم. كالسو هاي بعد كالسو ضربوها هسه احنا شو مكتوب بالصاروخ وين ادعت القوات الامريكيه انها لم تقم بقصف هذا المكان. هاي اثار القصف وهذا ما خلفه قصف من انفجار هائل. هذه صور كافيه وواضحه جدا لما خلفه هذا الانفجار. هذه الحفره اللي خلفها الانفجار. العهد تنفرد اليوم بهذه التغطيه. هذا عمقها أكثر من 4 أمتار، محيطها أكثر من 8 أمتار 10 أمتار. هذا الدمار اللي خلفته هاي الشظايا.
Iran is something of a paper tiger. They do have capabilities. We shouldn't underestimate them. They can cause damage. They were able to launch hundreds of cruise missiles and drones and ballistic missiles at Israel. 99% of them were intercepted. Would we always have that coalition on our side? Probably not, but Israel does have capabilities to be able to intercept most of what they can throw at us. But let's remember, Iran does not have a border with Israel. It doesn't have the ability to send ground forces. It doesn't have the ability to shoot artillery shells. It can send suicide drones or it can send missiles. And Israel does have a response. And what you saw over the weekend, that was just the defense. It wasn't the offense. So that's only when you're playing defense. When you play offense at the same time, you undermine their capabilities furthermore. What does have Israel concerned, though, is Hezbollah in Lebanon. That is up along our border. That is an Iranian proxy with tens of thousands of fighters who could cross into Israel and launch attacks with over 150,000 rockets and missiles that, yes, can overwhelm Israel's missile defense system just because of the sheer size of what Hezbollah has. But with that said also, I think Israel would be able to manage with that. It would not be an easy war. It would be difficult and it would be a challenge for Israel. But Israel does have capabilities, and I think we have to put everything into its right context. These are great threats. These are great challenges, but these are not of an existential nature that Israelis need to fear that this country is coming to an end. That's not what we're facing. Hezbollah, since October 8th, has pretty much launched close to 5,000 rockets into Israel. That's not normal, right? And this is being done at the direction of Iran. This is being done out of solidarity, as they claim, at least in Lebanon, with their brothers in arms in the Gaza Strip, aka Hamas. Israel is trying to contain that. Israel has decided not to go to that war with Hezbollah in Lebanon. And we're kicking the can down the road. I mean, this is a threat of a greater magnitude than what we face in Gaza. And it's hard to imagine that one day Hezbollah just lays down its arms and says, we're done. So when this will happen, I hope it won't happen. But I think we also have to recognize that after October 7th, policies of containment don't work, right? You can't just keep your enemy and pretend that they're not really there when they're right up along your border and they're plotting how to kill you. So Israel one day might have to confront the Hezbollah enemy on the Lebanon border.
Some of the language coming out of Iran says that there wasn't an external attack and there was talk of quadcopters, which might suggest that the attack was launched from inside Iran, which might then point to Mossad or somebody. So that's interesting. It'll take time for that all to play out. Does that therefore, again, is that Israel just trying to strike a balance? Look, we have hit back, we've done what we had to do, but you know, almost giving Iran a little bit of a route out because it wasn't ballistic missiles coming from externally. Again, all that's going to play out of the coming hours. But if that is the case, you know, that feels quite deliberate, doesn't it? To strike, but in a very limited way. I mean, has Netanyahu taken counsel of all that diplomatic pressure? You know, he went to great pains, didn't he, after the visit of Lord Cameron and indeed the German foreign minister to say, look, we'll make our own decisions. Sure, but he would be a fool not to listen to those international voices, not least coming from Washington. So, you know, it feels as though he's probably taken counsel of that to some degree. Will that then give him more freedom as he faces off to Gaza? I'm not so sure. You know, I think, you know, Israel has got a bit of moral high ground over the last week or so. They had lost the moral high ground in Gaza. I think they'll need to tread very carefully. And if they're wise, that they won't want to cede that quickly again, and they'll hopefully think carefully about how they approach ongoing operations in Gaza. But their track record hasn't been encouraging. It hasn't felt as though it's been in anybody's interests, Iran's or indeed Israel's, for a really major front to open up in the north. You know, the Israeli military is hugely capable, but they have got finite resources. And while they're having to deter and defend on those other fronts, to go into really major offensive operations concurrently with what they're doing in Gaza, that's a pretty bold thing to do. So I would have thought, but we don't know, I would have thought they will continue to try and hold that northern front sort of at jeopardy, but not cross a threshold into open conflict with Lebanese Hezbollah.